Hello everyone, this is Krotek giving you a shoutcast and a live cast, a rare live cast here on MLG Shakuras Plateau. This is game 3 in a best of 3 series. I unfortunately did not catch in time for game 1 and game 2. I am now pulled in as an additional caster for an OptiK tournament, a clan OptiK tournament. It happens every Friday. I believe it starts at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. And this is the quarterfinal, so we're going to have SCDFinesse versus myriad here on Shakuras Plateau. We have Finesse spawning here on the top right-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, on the bottom left-hand side, we are going to have myriad as the blue Terran. So Terran versus Protoss on Shakuras Plateau. Let me go ahead and get everything up and running for you guys. And hopefully this will be a very interesting matchup. Now, Shakuras Plateau, a map that pretty much everyone knows. I believe the Shakuras Plateau, this version of Shakuras Plateau does not have the rocks here, but I'm not 100% sure if it is always going to be a full cross spawn. I know at some point that was in fact the case, and it looks like now coming back over here, it looks like it will in fact be a scout straight over there. And wow, the SCV already making his way down, now gonna instead be building that supply depot, just rallying over into there so that it walks in the right direction. Now, this SCV will just normally build this front door. Meanwhile, back over here, it looks like Finesse is building a little bit closer to home with that pylon and getting the gateway underway. We'll see whether what build he tries to go for, as Shakuras Plateau is a rather large map, and it does open up a lot of much more macro style of play here on Shakuras Plateau. The Nexus should be coming in as well. That very, very easy to take second base. Very, very strong for players, as there is also another ramp leading up to it. And now we finally see a probe moving across the map in order to do some scouting. So yes, already scouting at this stage in the game. It looks like he will be able to scout in the correct direction, but there is already a supply depot being placed down. So that supply depot means that myriad stopped and did not get any gas at all, so he will be able to get up a command center in just a moment. SCV now making its way out, and now the probe taking a bit of damage, mineral pathing his way back home, and now will be able to return all the way there, upgrading to an orbital command down here, and now finally finishing off this supply depot. You can see Finesse currently opening up with the Cybernetics core instead. He is going to have, or he will be training up a Stalker first, as opposed to getting an early Zealot. No real reason, as you know that your opponent is not going to have that large of an army. You only want to build your army when you need it, especially in the early portion of the games. In the early portion of the games, you'd rather have a stronger economy, save those additional minerals for perhaps a Nexus to get a stronger advantage. Most likely, we will be getting a Sentry and the Warp Gate research and chrono boosting the gateway first before getting the Stalkers. So a little bit of a misclick there. Perhaps he was aiming for the Warp Gate, but didn't see a thing. He does see the double gas is in play, and with a double gas build coming in from Protoss, he may be going for a lot of sentries and then expanding. You can see a sentry now being added there, and now we are going to be seeing a command center. So my guess at this stage in the game will be a lot of sentries into an expansion, and then perhaps a robotics facility, training up an observer, and then going into Colossi, 2 to 3 Colossi. Really will be able to eat through this marine army at this stage. Myriad will have to be careful. He will need to get a starport up with the reactor and get those Vikings, if my predictions are correct. A Stalker now chasing down this SCV. The Stalker getting a little bit of damage, and it looks like just enough to finish it off. And now the Stalker just going to simply walk up that ramp and see how much damage or how much information and sight he can gather and glean. There is going to be 4 Marines there. The Stalker could have at least turned around, got off one shot, and then tried to play that game of chicken. The Stalker does have superior range with a range of 6, but instead deciding to return home. Upgrading to an orbital command. Now we can see also another orbital command over here as well, and now finally SCVs going into the refinery. Myriad finally going into that gas play. He needs to get that stim pack, and rather quickly, otherwise he's going to fall behind, as gateway units are very, very strong, especially against barrack units that do not have stim. Once the Marines do have stim and the Marauders do have stim, they are able to deal a lot more damage to gateway units and can generally win out in a battle, especially with medevacs. We can see now SCVs now making their way down, as we should be getting in a factory sometime soon. There's that combat shield being researched first, so a combat shield being researched instead of stim. A little bit curious about that, and perhaps he just wants the additional life. Also knowing that stim pack takes 170 seconds, he wants to be able to have additional life on his Marines just in case it does go down to the wire. We are going to have more sentries here. Already Finesse running off of a lot of probes, and both players just happy sitting inside their bases, getting up a lot of units and getting up a very, very strong economy. The Observer already making its way out, and now there's that robotics bay that I was mentioning, but no forge yet. So no forge. It looks as though Finesse is just going to be simply running off of the robotics facility in order to get those Colossi. 3 Colossi with extended thermal lance range should be enough. Finesse also, for some reason, has not established another simulator here. He needs to get as much gas as he can, as what 2 base Colossi does take up a fair amount of gas. Both players still running on very, very strong economies at this point. 36 harvesters compared to 32. It doesn't look like Finesse is no longer chrono boosting the Nexuses in order to get more probe production. He's not even training up any probes at all. Instead, chrono boosting out a Colossus, and he should be able to chrono boost out that extended thermal lance range in just a moment, as we are now getting close to the 9-minute mark. The Observer now making just a round trip. We'll be able to see decent saturation here, see how much gas Myriad, and just trying to gather all that information in to figure out what Myriad has in store. Level 1 weapons upgrade now started for the infantry, but may not be finished anytime soon, as we are getting a reactor and a starport. Double training medevacs most likely coming in just a moment. Level 1 weapons upgrade and ground armor also coming in for the Protoss army, so chrono boosting this as well. And at some point, I would believe that Finesse needs to perhaps either take this expansion here or this expansion. Both bases are a little bit further out, a little bit closer to your opponent, but you definitely need to take those now. I believe the economies should be able to support it, as both sides are continuing to just train up more and more workers. You can see 2 SCVs, 2 probes still being added. Both sides sitting on 48 to 44 now. But I believe Myriad, with the benefit of those mules, really starting to get a little bit ahead. Yeah, you can see the strength of his army: 1,700 minerals, 225 gas, but double training medevacs now. Now it will really come down to how much damage these Colossi will be able to do. The extended thermal lance range about to be completed. Another Colossus now stuck in limbo, as we are currently supply blocked, getting in some additional pylons as well, and also adding the Twilight Council for, in addition, Blink and perhaps level 2 weapons upgrade as well. It looks like Finesse is ready to establish his expansion once again. He will be able to start mining from here in just another 90 seconds or so, as SCVs are making their way out. Finesse is a bit behind in terms of overall food count, 91 compared to 108. And I'm kind of curious as to why both of these players are just sitting back in their bases and deciding to macro up. Finesse does spot this large Marauder Marine army, and this one probe should back off. Not going to be able to escape in time. Just sitting at the Zelnaga Tower, getting destroyed. This Nexus is going to be forced to get canceled as well. Did he spot it? Yes, he did spot it, as another command center being placed down here. We do have a decent number of Colossi and Zealots, but Finesse doesn't have enough units out in the field just quite yet. You can see another Colossus out. He needs to get even more units and try to press his tech advantage. Level 2 weapons upgrade about to be completed, as more stalkers are now being added. There is no Nexus here, so Myriad now going to instead and perhaps put some pressure on this Nexus in just a moment. There are 2 medevacs and 2 Vikings. The Marauders and the Marines, they are upgraded 1-0. The Nexus is now just done, and the Nexus completed just to get destroyed. Stalkers are going to engage. It doesn't look like much is going to be happening. I don't believe the sentries will be able to get off enough force fields. Finesse should have come down that ramp a little bit earlier. And by not doing so is not going to be able to have his expansion up and running. You can see Myriad already getting his command center. He should be able to upgrade that to an orbital command as well. There is one proxy pylon there, and it was not spotted. So nicely done. Finesse will be able to warp in units in midfield. We are getting charged, level 2 weapons upgrade and armor upgrades about to be completed. We also are going to have Guardian Shield, so those Colossi will be very difficult to take down. As you can now see an observer in position, it is going to simply fly by. The Vikings are all there, Stalkers are there as well, and now an engagement is about to ensue as this one pylon is going to get destroyed. The Vikings going after those Colossi, and it looks like the Vikings are just having an easy time with those Colossus. Easily done there. There's finally those force fields. Those Colossi have to be very careful. Not quite sure why he's running in once more, but really benefiting just a little bit as Myriad taking a load of damage there. So those Colossi with that level 2 weapons upgrade getting in so much damage, and level 3 weapons upgrade maybe coming in just a moment. Not quite sure why the rest of the army decided to back off, as Myriad now perhaps going to lose all of his Stalkers there. And now are we going to have an engagement once again? The Colossi could just get up onto the high ground. We do have the Guardian Shield. And there you go, the Zealots, the Marines just getting sliced through once more. The Stalkers could perhaps, no, they do not want to blink. The Marauders would slow them down too much, as both sides just exchanging blows rather carefully. 63 probes versus 62. Both sides now getting up their third bases, and no one really wants to be that aggressive. Everyone's playing it very, very safe. Finesse over here is now getting that Psystorm, and without Ghost, that Psystorm is going to be able to eat through that Terran Bio army rather quickly. You can see the Marines and the Marauders all here. They're going to get taken down rather quickly as an observer now slowly makes his way over. I don't believe any Dark Templar are spotted. Level 2 weapons upgrade for the infantry and level 1 for the Vikings now coming in, as there is now a Ghost Academy. So Myriad perhaps seeing the High Templar, the Templar Archives, perhaps he was able to scanner sweep it, and now responding correctly. There are currently a decent number of High Templars in the field, 4 of them to be exact, and even though the army is much stronger for Myriad, he does have the stronger mineral army and only slightly behind in terms of gas. I think the unit combinations is just much to be feared by Finesse. Finesse may be able to get off a lot of damage with these units. The Colossi now slowly making their position over. You can see a factory is landed off over here, making sure that another base is not up and running. And if Finesse does not push out now, he's going to have a very difficult time as this command center is about to be completed. You can take a look at the armies once again. 42-25 Zealots also being added. The High Templars in a separate group as well. Stalkers are upgraded 2-2. Level 3 ground armor about to be completed, but that's not going to really help out that much in the long run, as an Archon also joining in on the army. So a little bit curious about why an Archon is joined in, as you really want more and more High Templars for that Psystorm. But now the Ghosts are being added. The Mobius reactor about to be completed, and this is going to become a very, very painful fight. The Guardian Shield is up and running, able to absorb a lot of damage, and now in come those High Templars as well. The Zealots need to perhaps engage. Psystorm will be coming in as well. And why aren't those High Templars doing anything at all? And now we should be getting some Psystorm onto those Vikings as well. There's a Psystorm onto massive Bio, and there you go. Massive, massive losses by Myriad already, but the Colossi are now all shut down. Stalkers now trying to fight it out. The Vikings going into ground mode to join in the battle. Marauder, a full Marauder getting destroyed, as both sides really taking a beating on each other there. Stalkers now going to engage, going to be able to finish off more of those units, and it looks like this bunker, which is rather low, may get taken down. The medevacs picking up a lot of those units and once again unloading them. But yeah, that's exactly how I thought the fight would go. Finesse, even though he had the smaller army with the Psystorm, able to shut down some of those Vikings and also with those Colossi and getting in a decent trade. But the real issue now is the overall economy. 1600 versus 1800. Myriad with a slightly stronger economy and will be able to start mining off of these mineral patches momentarily, as well as I believe SCVs are being transferred over. What is that? 19 SCVs now being transferred over to the top portion of the map. 3875 standing army versus 2650. Both players just playing it very, very safe. Level 3 weapons upgrade about to come online. Personal cloaking for those ghosts, as we are now getting more and more sentries. Those ghosts, however, as the longer the battle goes, the more that those ghosts are going to be even more effective, especially against those High Templars. High Templars move rather slowly, and without an observer, in order to spot the ghosts who are going to be cloaked, those EMP shockwaves or even sniper rounds are going to shut down those High Templars before those High Templars get off a Psystorm. Additional gateways now being added as well, and another robotics facility and another gateway, so it looks like it may be 3 base Colossi, a sensor tower, now keeping track of this very large army here, as that proxy pylon has been destroyed. Are we going to have an engagement? It looks like we will. There's not that many Vikings, so those Colossi, those 2 Colossi may be able to get in a lot of damage. And now here we go, going after these units. Zealots now completely surrounding as well. Stalkers going in. EMP Shockwave just destroying many of those Zealots, so taking apart all those shields. And now down go the middle portion of the map. It looks like Finesse may be able to have this, as Psystorm accidentally hitting his own units. And now the Marauders and the Marines are just continuing to just slowly pull back and forth. And now Finesse going to take this opportunity to instead hit the Planetary Fortress. The Planetary Fortress is going to fall rather quickly. The Zealots now coming in. Stalker is also going to come in as well. And we should be perhaps getting some Psystorm along the back. The Colossi going to get destroyed, but in comes some Psystorm there. And some feedbacks and so much damage dealt there. 3,800 versus... or 3,600 versus 2,400. The Stalkers now going after the Marauders. Not as much healing going on the medevacs. Many of them were feedback. Those Archons, very, very difficult to deal with. One Archon low on shields and hit points may decide to back off. That would be the smarter move, as the Colossus continuing to battle it out. SCVs, nothing inside that bunker, as the Viking finally was able to take down that last unit there. And more damage still being dealt. There is this expansion over here. Does he know about the expansion at the top side? I do not know, but it looks like he will be checking it anyways, just to be safe. And Finesse, I believe, has taken this game. This expansion has no real defense, and Myriad has no real source of income. 162 to 92, and all we have to wait now is for the GG. Zealots now going after those SCVs. Stalkers gonna get some damage. Archons getting in some damage as well. The Orbital Command already dangerously low on hit points. It will slowly burn down to 80, 70 hit points, and it will just burn to a crisp. Now, Finesse, he cannot get sloppy at this time. He does have a lot of energy on his Nexuses. Perhaps he should be taking up another base, as well as he is nearly mined out on his natural expansion. But in comes the main battle here. The Marauders were trying to get some of those Stalkers early, as the Archons are now once again pushing in. Those Archons dealing so much damage against that massive bio army there. The Archons pushing in a little bit too far. Need to back off. And now we are going to get another Colossus, another 2 Colossi to be exact. And those Colossi should be able to attack with range from safety and shut down this portion here. SCVs now making their way over. This is an all-in attempt. SCVs and now massive Psystorm. And there's the GG. SCDFinesse taking game 3 here on Shakuras Plateau.